let us start with the next unit, next chapter, fourth chapter, which is called as Jnana Karma Sannyas Yoga. It's renunciation of knowledge and work. Now, technically or spiritually, to understand the meaning of renunciation is slightly difficult. That we keep it slightly at the end of this unit sessions, maybe 8th chapter. So, what are the things which are mentioned in chapter number 4? So, self-excellence, self-supremacy is knowing yourself, what you can do and what you cannot. What is the bold letter word is what you cannot. And somewhere in the past I have mentioned that you must know what you do not know. So if you understand which are the areas where you need to focus more, which are the areas where still you are lacking, which are the areas where you are weak, in short, which are your weaknesses. So if you are able to know what you cannot do, then only you can improvise on your abilities. And one must be able to overcome unbeatable obstacles in the path, means whatever obstacles are there to make you go ahead in your life, which are mostly because of the inabilities, incompetencies to go to that level. There is one more principle coming up, and probably this or next chapter I will review that. But then they will understand this much better. This is possible by denying egoism and egotism. I am not sure how many of you know the meaning of egoism and egotism. There is only one letter, one syllable which is less here and which is removed. That P is got added here. So egoism and egotism both actually mean the same. The word has come from the basic word ego. Ego means having too much of proud about yourself. And egoism is the person who is very much egoistic. But egotist is the person who talks about his egoism. Means he will always keep on telling you that I am so great, I am so great, I have been here, I have worked at so senior positions, etc. So the person who talks is egotist, and the person who only has an ego is called as egoist. That's a minor difference which probably linguistic people who have learned English language as such, they understand, but then as a management student also we need to know this. So egoist is the one who has got a lot of ego, and other people will probably talk about him that he is a very egoistic person, don't go next to him. He will treat you like any form they can help, he will not treat you with respect. Whereas egotist is the person who himself tells about his achievements, which may be or may not be correct. So then that is a basic difference. So this is possible by denying egoism. Denying is not accepting, or denying is not ready to take it as an I am egoistic and I am egotist. So most of the people who are egoist or egotist, they do not know that they are egoist or egotist. If you tell them that you are a very egoistic person, they say, no, nothing like that, I don't have any kind of ego. But then in reality they do have. But denying is avoiding to have any of these, either egoism or egotism, which will make you possible to understand what you cannot. Because that time I told you once in this, that it's better to have an inferiority complex than superiority complex. Now what do you mean by inferiority complex? Is you are having a feeling that there are certain things which you do not know. There are certain things about you where you need to develop. There are certain things where you are weak as compared to somebody else. This feeling is called as inferiority complex, which we have been having, rather some of us have been having since our childhood days. That I am not as intelligent as somebody else, I cannot sing well as somebody else is doing. So whenever you are comparing with yourself and you presume that you have got less abilities as compared to somebody else, that is what we call as an inferiority complex. Whereas superiority complex is the other person may be having. That he will say that you are not as good as I am. I am always superior to you. So superiority complex, as the name suggests, somebody will assume you superior than you. So if you are assuming somebody that you are superior to somebody else, then you are said to have a superiority complex. When you assume yourself somewhere weak as compared to somebody else, you are supposed to have an inferiority complex, which is not very difficult concept to understand. So it is said that it is better to have inferiority complex, means it is better to consider yourself weak as against somebody else than you consider yourself superior as compared to somebody else. Means if you have a feeling of less abilities is better than having a feeling of higher abilities, because there is nothing one can conquer for 100%. So you can always improvise on your abilities, you can always improvise on your skills. Whatever you do, there is always a scope for improvement. I remember in very first chapter itself we had tried to see the difference between errors and mistakes. Correct me if I am wrong. Errors and mistakes, have we discussed about it? Even if not, let us discuss it here. Mistakes are all those things which you can rectify, which you can correct. Errors are all those things which can be rectified, but it is difficult. So therefore we always call it as a manufacturing errors. Manufacturing defects could be recovered, but manufacturing errors very difficult to recover. And that's where the Kaizen has come into the picture, where at one place of the Kaizen they are saying that defect, 0% defect manufacturing. That also I have mentioned somewhere in the past. So where we are trying to be more perfect, more error-free as much as possible. So if you have got a feeling that I am not committing any kind of error, whatever errors, mistakes are committed, those are always by others. I am the best person on the earth. Then you have to yourself to be having a superiority complex. When you have inferiority complex, you feel weak, you feel incompetitive, you are not well or comparatively at a lower level as compared to others, then it is called inferiority complex. So inferiority complex, better you have it, because you know that here I am lacking, so that you can improvise on it. But if you consider somewhere yourself at this level, you think that I am the best person on the earth, so you don't have any inferiority complex, so you can never improve. So from that perspective, you need to deny, you need to make it possible by avoiding being too much egoistic and having too much superiority complex. Putting others before oneself, teamwork, dignity, sharing, collaboration, harmony, trust, sacrificing needs for higher goals, empathizing and so forth. So if you could see, the bold letter words are dignity, harmony and empathizing. This is the one word where you will find across organizations, you will find people lacking in maintaining the dignity of human being. Now what do you mean by dignity? It is in simple words to give a respect to somebody else, irrespective of the person's position. Irrespective of the person's position. Now what do you mean by that? Now if you go to any organization, you will come across these kind of people available around you. One is the watchman at the entrance gate. Do you agree with this? You also have one watchman. Right now we and sir were talking to him. Their cars were not allowed inside. So watchman is also human being. Don't you think? Now you will find very often that people are fighting with that watchman. Supposing take today's case only. I am coming inside the campus and the watchman was telling me no cars are allowed inside. Now these kind of situations would be very often. Maybe you go to university, you go to some corporate offices where parking is restricted, or probably parking is reserved only for a few people. So the person who is standing at the gate, named as watchman, what has been told to him? His duty is to allow only the authorized vehicle to come in. Unauthorized in the sense, those who do not have probably the stickers which the societies have, that person or that vehicle is not supposed to come in. And if he asks somebody not to come in, is he wrong anywhere? Absolutely no, because he is doing his duty, isn't it? So whereas you will find very often people fighting with that watchman. Do you know who I am? How can you say that you won't allow me to go in? I would have said to that watchman, तुम्हाला माहिती आहे का मी कोण आहे? DY पाटील दुसरे इन्स्टिट्यूटचे डायरेक्टर आहे. तुम्ही माझ्या कारला आत नाही जाऊ दिला असं कसं म्हणू शकता? This could have been happened. But then what has happened? I tried to maintain the dignity of that person because I know that he is doing his duty. And of course there was a very valid reason. There is some flooring work going on inside, so there is no place for parking. So I didn't say anything to him. Incidentally, someone else was there, standing right to me. He also didn't say anything. We went off outside, we parked our vehicles and came. What we did? We only maintained the dignity of the human being, which unfortunately 90% plus people don't maintain. I have given you the simple example of a watchman. Then you have peons, you have many staff who used to clean the toilets, then clerks, junior level clerks, middle level clerks, higher level clerks. Then in an institution kind of structure, office superintendent, maybe different professors at different levels of the hierarchy, then deans, principals, etc. In organizations, there are different managers who are at different levels. So even if you consider the senior manager level, there might be M1, M2, M3, up to M7. level 1, level 2, that is manager 1, manager 2 level. So there are different hierarchies. Below them there are junior levels, again another hierarchy. Then there are senior engineers, then there are junior engineers below them, then supervisors, then workers, then transportation people, then inventory people. So there is a big, I would say, the level or ladder of hierarchy in the organization. And whenever you think about any level, we will come across only the human beings working at that level. Do you agree with this? Somewhere in the past I had made a mention that there is not, as on today, there is no possibility that human beings are replaced by machines. That will happen, but it might take around 1,000 years or 3,000 years. So those robots are there, automation has happened, but then to design those robots, to design those machines, we require human beings or human brains. Even to design computers, to design software, to design different kind of hardware, we require human beings. So human brain has not been yet found as a replacement. So point I am trying to make is at different level you have the people working, and the moment you become senior, you fail to maintain the dignity of all the juniors who are working. And you will very often find these kind of words in the organization. तू मला काय सांगतो, मी इतके वर्ष काम करतोय, 25 वर्षाचा एक्सपिरियन्स आहे. All these things are only for the sake of maintaining the dignity. Even if the person is a menial staff, I am always mentioning this word menial staff who cleans toilet. Those are the people who are supposed to be most downtrodden people in the entire building, and those are the people who should be scolded, hired and fired at any given point of time, because they think, most of the people think that those people are not having any kind of dignity. But dignity is not, we have to give dignity to the others. Every individual does not have dignity as such. It is we are supposed to maintain it and mention it, and we have to follow it. In short, or making that long story short, you have to respect each and every human being, irrespective of at what level that person is working. And this starts right from the way you look at the people who are specifically working below you, at whatever level below they are working. If you remember, there was a movie named Rangila, you might have seen it. All of you might have seen it. Amir Khan's one of the successful movies. And I think the heroine wants to get married, and she's supposed to meet some new proposal, and he has invited her to a restaurant. And then Amir Khan, being a good friend, he advises her that just pay attention to how he calls the waiter in the restaurant. If he does like this with actions and hey, come here, they don't accept that promise. The reason is good. Because he considers waiter as the lowermost person. He has given the money to the hotel, that means they should be able to, they must listen to whatever he is saying. So where is the dignity? Dignity is there in the heart. You have to maintain the dignity of each and every level wherever you might be. To give you the real life example again of Tata's, Ratan Tata, whenever he goes to the workplaces, he will be having his lunch or dinner, whatever is the time, with all the workers. And whereas there might be a very small startup where he is the only one owner and there might be one in the organization, maybe one or two plus, that person will think himself that he has become Ambani's and Adani's and probably all top-notch people or the richest people, and then he will start fighting each and every person and the owner. But then that doesn't mean that he is maintaining the proper dignity. If you maintain dignity, I'll tell you that you will get paid at the latest stages. Again, with reference to second chapter's Bhagavad Gita, very famous quote, Karmanya Madhikasi. This is the kind of work which you are supposed to do. Simply maintain the dignity of the people, and the people will be there to even die for you. Right? So dignity maintenance is one of the important message given in the fourth chapter. Harmony. Harmony is again one word which we have learned somewhere in management fundamentals, I guess. Fayol's principles. I don't remember whether it was there or somewhere else. Can you tell me the meaning of harmony? Any one of you? Or at least where from it has come? The word harmony, any idea where from the word has come? Yes? No idea? How many of you understand music? Understand in the sense, learn some instrument, maybe sing or play some instrument. Not a single one? Okay, at least do you hear the songs? Now you are suppose there in a live show where live orchestra is going on and a singer is singing some song which you already know. And the moment that singer goes slightly away from the note of the song, you will get it. Every one of you, even if you learn music, still you will find odd to your ear. And then you try to where you try to identify, and it comes naturally to all human beings. It is one of the Sanskrit verses which says that Sangeeta Shastra Ina Sakshata Pashu Eva Kucha Vishana Ina. Means if you don't understand music, you are not a human being. And is there anybody sitting in the class who says that I don't like music? What type of music you like, that may be varying. Some of you might like very high beat music, some of you might like electrical guitar, that kind of music. Some of you might like classical music, some of you might like a very silent kind of songs. But everyone would like to have music in their lives, and everyone understands the music because it is given by birth to all of us to understand music. May not be too much technical, but then when something goes wrong, something goes odd, we can understand it and we say that something is gone wrong. Now, what basis do we see, or do we say that whenever a song is composed, when the singer is singing the song, all instrumentalists are also there which are playing. Now, you might have seen in live shows there is a big instrument with black and white keys called as a keyboard or a synthesizer. Have you seen it? Then there is one square instrument and the person is having two sticks in his hand and he is playing on that. It is called as octave, which is a modern world replacement to the old drums. So if you see old movies, there are big drums played. 6-7 drums are there and he is playing with the sticks at different places. There is another instrument. Then guitar is one more instrument which is played in most of the orchestras. So these three instruments, keyboard, synthesizer, then drums and guitar and the singer. These are the bare minimum 4 instruments which were required in earlier days. Earlier songs used to have dolak, doriki or tabla. So these 4-5 instruments used to make the orchestra. Now whenever, if at all you have attended live orchestra, you might have seen that initially before they start with the orchestra singing songs or performances, there will be one note which will be held by the synthesizer player, and all other guitarists, then drummer and tabla player, all those people will tune their instruments to one note played on that particular synthesizer. That is called as a scale in which the entire song goes. In Marathi or Indian classical music, we call it as a patti. And all those black and white pattis are called as same as kali egg is black first patti, pandri egg is pandri first patti, white first patti from a left hand side. And once somebody places say second black patti from a left hand side, and all the instruments are tuned with it. And then the singer is supposed to sing only with that scale in that patti called as kali dol. Now when all the instruments are properly tuned with that patti and the singer is also singing with that scale, then only the entire music is said to be harmonious. Even if one, let's say tabla is not very clearly tuned with that instrument, either a harmonium or a synthesizer, then you will feel odd to your ears. Again, irrespective of whether you learned music or not. So that is where we will say that the music is not harmonious. We are not able to understand, we are not understanding where the singer is going wrong, but then something is wrong. And you get that feeling. That feeling is the feeling of not having the harmony. So having the harmony is all the instruments put together, tuned to only one note and sticking to that one note for the entire song, unless the song composer is very much intelligent, he changes the scale. I won't give you any examples right now because I cannot. This is some different session. Okay, so point here is that all the instruments should be in tune with only one note, and that is the entire song is said to be harmonious song. Bringing that concept of music into working places, everybody working in all the departments, they have to work in tune with each other. It won't happen that production people will say we'll come to the workplace, we will do whatever we want. Material people will say we'll do whatever we want and then we'll go home. And marketing people will say you don't give us anything, we'll say whatever we want. It doesn't happen like that. So there is a proper sequence of operations. There are proper strategies of production. What is to be produced, where it is to be sold, what is the niche market, who are the customers, which is the area where the product is more sold. Are there any kind of strategies which you have to sell more, which we call it as promotional strategies? So all those things have to work in tune with each other, then only the entire organization will succeed. It cannot happen that only one department is working to the fullest of its efficiency and other departments are not doing anything, still the product is good. It never happens. So all the departments are expected to have harmony against them, and then only the entire organization will be successful. So harmony is again working in tune with everybody in the organization. Let me tell you, there might be 10,000, 40,000 people working in a company like Telco or a Bajaj, that doesn't matter, or any big company where more than thousands of people are working. You can say, how can there be harmony in 10,000 people? Just to give you another example, I am very much close to music and film industry. So, just to give you a recent example of the movie Zingat, all of you must have seen it. It was later translated, remade rather, not translated, remade in Hindi also, where Janhvi Kapoor was the main heroine, Sridevi's daughter. And Zingat, that song got very famous. And all the songs of the movie were shooted or were recorded in where? You said it right. Abroad. Those people, Adhyay went abroad, and those were recorded in a typical Western kind of music, where at any given point of time in Western music, if you happen to see those orchestras by Zubin Mehta and all, so those are the orchestras where hundreds of instrumentalists are there on the stage, literally hundreds of violinists. So all the 100 violinists are playing violin and the same notes they are playing, and all 100 violins are tuned to one note in such a way that you will get a feeling that only one violin is being played. You can just imagine how difficult it must have been. The ear of that person who tunes that harmonium or those violins or those different instruments, that person must be able to understand a very clear-cut, a minute difference. In typical classical music, we say half note khali gaya, आधी नोट पाव नोट बढ़ती है. So it is that close, so that we really don't understand. The people who don't understand music may not be able to get that much amount of experience. You must have been seeing live shows of music in Saregama or maybe Indian Idol. So there you would find judges saying the entire song was good, but then at that particular point the sur vyavasthit lagala nahi. And we feel, oh, sarla to samjha, how he is saying it. So where he is talking about harmony. Every minute test of your sur or means your tone must be matched with all other instruments which have been played at that time. So that song which was recorded for Zingat, it also had 90 violins played, real life violins. In olden days, not nowadays, because nowadays, as I mentioned, there's synthesizer is an instrument which has included all the instruments. You can play any damn instrument in the world on the synthesizer. But earlier days when the synthesizer was not invented, those instrumentalists actually used to come and play into the recording studios. Shankar Jaikishan and all those musicians which I mentioned earlier, they used to have around at least 40 minimum instrumentalists for any song which is being recorded in the older times. And when you hear the song, you will hardly listen to the instruments. But 40, 50, up to 150 instrumentalists playing the song and one singer singing, either old timers, Lata Mangeshkar moment. But why those songs are so beautiful? That era is called as golden era of Indian music, not Indian Bollywood, Indian music. Indian classical music is said to be the best in the world. The entire world's music has born out of Indian classical music. Why? Because Indian classical music maintains harmony, and those are the basic fundamentals which you have to have. The point again which has come to music, let us take it back to the organization. So if everybody doesn't work in tandem with what is happening as far as his job role is concerned, his job role connected with the team working, his team work connected to the departmental work, his departmental work connected to all other departments, will be able to take the theoretically organization's goal in reality. You must have learned in management fundamentals. There is something called as organizational goals, there is something called as individual goals. So you have to match your individual goals with the organizational goal. How that can happen? Only when you try to maintain a harmony between you yourself and, as I said, in the same sequence up to organizational goals. Trust, of course, is one of the things where the entire organizations will be working even nowadays. Most of the things we do take the actions based on a trust. For example, the top official is supposed to sign, let's say, 100 pages document. And the next level person takes the document to him he will ask him, "Tu pahle na sagad, have you read it? Have you checked all the spellings? Have you checked all the formatting? Have you checked all the figures?" The person at the bottom will say, "Yes sir, I have checked it, you can simply sign." So what does he do? He only trusts that person and he will simply sign all 100 pages. Now if that point is likely to come in later chapters, in 16th chapter it will come. If that lower level manager is not of a good nature, then he will try to see that how we can fix this manager in some kind of scandals. But still, most of the organizations, rather all the organizations run on the basis of trust, which you have to develop, and then once developed, you have to maintain it. Sacrificing need for higher goals and empathizing. Empathizing is trying to understand somebody else's situation. Now, empathizing is a very common word which is used in English. Empathize means trying to understand what the other person might be having in some kind of difficulties. He might be facing some kind of situation. Even though you have not faced those kind of situations, you must be able to imagine what difficulty that person may be facing, what difficulties that person might have been coming across, what troubles that person has, what problems he might be having in his personal or professional life. And this will be coming into the picture when you are a manager sanctioning somebody's leaves and someone comes to you asking for a leave for a very genuine reason. There you should be able to have this ability in you, that is empathizing. First ability before empathizing keyword is whether the person in front of you is talking lie or whether he is genuine. And as and when you proceed in the hierarchy, you definitely do get to have a knowledge of this. I would say knowledge, but an ability to understand the human being, whether the person in front of you is talking lie or he is being genuine or true. Once you understand that, then try to empathize. Whether he really requires that kind of thing, what is his mental situation, what is the ability that person is able to take the stress. If you fire him, what is going to happen to his inner self. If you humiliate him, what will happen to that person. So empathizing, there is a phrase in English which will make this understanding simple. There is a phrase which says putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. What do you mean? You wear somebody else's shoes means how that person walks in those shoes. Those shoes might be having a lot of troubles. The shoe itself will be giving a trouble to him. Shoes means the situations, the kind of happenings in his life the person is having. So you should be able to understand what kind of situation he will be facing. So you go into that person's role and try to understand that. That is what is empathizing, which very less people are able to do. Okay, so that is the summary of chapter number 4. Let's go ahead.